There we go. What's good, y'all? It is Bible Stories Revisited. And we're here for something a little bit different, right? So, I need a quick way to sum this up because I've already shot this video. It was light outside, and then the video didn't save. So, we're gonna speed run this shit. Pretty much, this is Dr. Steve Hansen's bite model, and this is pretty much, to sum it up, even like when I was a Christian and stuff, I would, even at work, I would listen to different stories of how cults came about. And something that I always notice is they would use, of course, not all of them, but there would be like a noticeable amount of people who would use the Bible as a handbook of their cult until they would transition to something else. And one thing that would always puzzle me, I would be like, these are grown adults, right? How did they, what I'm saying, get such a tight grip of control on them, right? So, this is pretty much the bite model. And this is something that really stood out to me, and I really feel like it should be brought to more people's attention. And this, well, I'll read the thing and we'll go along through this. So, pretty much, many people think of mind control as an ambiguous, mystical process that is difficult to define. Mind control refers to a specific set of methods and techniques, such as hypnosis or thought stopping, that influence how a person thinks, feels, and acts. Steve Hansen developed the BITE model to describe cult specific methods to recruit and maintain control over people. BITE stands for behavior, information, thought, and emotional control. The BITE model should be used within the influence continuum model to help determine authoritarian control. Not every group or relationship uses every one of these. That is obvious to say, but I feel like it should be pointed out as well. Um, some are universal, such as deception, indoctrinating people to distrust critics, and former members, or installing phobias to make people afraid of questioning or leaving. So, they're obviously, they said it, behavior, information, thought, and emotional control. Bite. These are pretty much the main tactics that cult leaders and, you know, many people in relationships use to control and regulate, you know what I'm saying? Control over them. Mind control, brainwashing, stuff like that. So, we're going to be going over the bite model. I'm going to make sure this is, yeah, it's lined up pretty well. So, yeah, we're going to be going over the bite model, and um, if you want to learn more about this, I'll probably put a link below, or just look up freedomofmind.com. You'll find it. But yeah, we'll be going through each of the things. I'll be giving like a few examples or saying like what stands out to me. And yeah, I don't know what this channel will be, but I just want to continue to just point certain things like this out in the open because I feel like it's important. So yeah, we'll start in B, which is behavior control. So some examples of this will include regulate individuals' physical reality, dictate where, how, and with whom the member lives and associates or isolates, when, how, and with whom the member has sex, control types of clothing and hairstyles, regulate diet, food, and drink, hunger and or fasting, manipulation and deprivation of sleep, financial exploitation, manipulation, or dependence. Restrict leisure, entertainment, vacation time. Major time spent with group indoctrination and rituals and or self-indoctrination, including the internet. Permission required for major decisions. Rewards and punishments used to modify behaviors, both positive and negative. Discourage individualism, encourage groupthink. Impose rigid rules and regulations. Punish disobedience by beating, torture, burning, cutting, assault, or tattooing slash branding. Threatening, threaten to harm family and friends. Force individual assault or assaulted. Viewer discretion advised. Goodness. Encourage and engage in corporal punishment. Instill dependency and obedience. Kidnapping, beating, torture, separation of families, imprisonment, etc. Um, yeah, and that's just the behavior model. So, fear tactics. Um, you know what I'm saying? Just information tactics. Like, and obviously, information is another one, but I feel like this all ties into one. If you tie into people's information, their thoughts, it inherently influences the way that they behave and how they're able to be controlled, right? So you just, and that one's interesting, being the first one. You dictate where they go when they're isolated, their physical reality. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it just, how they behave really goes into like really what their reality is for them, how much information they're getting, or how much information I would say is being brought forward to them, so to say. Yeah, that's a way to say it. So now we're on information control. Now, this one is broken down a little bit more, but just 6 parts, right? So one is deception. So a couple ways for deceiving is deliberately withholding information or distort that information to make it more acceptable and systematically lie to the cult member. One of these things I would do, I remember reading Revelation by myself one time and it was like, oh, it said God had the tongue of a double-edged sword. And I was like, why would the being of all beings have a tongue of something that is a man-made weapon or object? I feel like his tongue would be something more graceful. And what I did instead of read further is I was like, maybe I should just stop reading altogether. Which is what I did. I just stopped reading at that moment until I got the apologetics for it. I stopped reading for myself because I was like, I don't need that much information, obviously. And with the information that I didn't take, I distorted it to make it more acceptable in my eyes. So I was like, obviously, with the apologetics that I got, this was a dream. Everybody, they can't obviously fathom a God when it's up in their face. So they use man made references or man like things that man have seen for themselves as a reference to compare close to what they've seen. Obviously, they didn't see like a hawk head or, you know what I'm saying, a lion head or something, but it's the closest thing that they could compare it to. And I was like, yes, that's good enough for me. Back to peace in my head. And that's just how it is a lot of times. You deceive yourself, or people deceive you by either deliberately withholding key parts of the information so that it seems like it's the whole truth, or distorting certain parts of the information so that it seems more acceptable. On to number two, minimize or discourage access to non cult sources of information, including internet, TV, radio, books, articles, newspapers, magazines, media, critical information, former members. Keep members busy so they don't have time to think and investigate. Control through cell phone with texting, calls, internet tracking. Um, the one that sticks out the most to me is keep members busy so they won't have time to think, because that is one thing that I would do. I would be like, um, one of the verses they'd be used is like, idle is like the devil's, being idle is the devil's playground. So, like, we just always be like doing something. My parents would hate when I'm just kicking back, relaxing, because that's just too much time to let your mind relax and think. You have to always be active and doing something. And that's not true. Rest is very important. Rest is very much needed. Compens- mm, car- Compartmentalize information into outsider versus insider doctrines. So, ensure that information is not freely accessible when it is. Control information at different levels and missions within group. Allow only leadership to decide who needs to know what and when. And yeah, that's just another thing within the hierarchy of, oh, you'll know enough if you just stay a member. Um, Extensive use of cult generated information and propaganda, including newsletters, magazines, journals, audio tapes, videotapes, YouTube, movies, and other media, misquoting statements or using them out of context from non cult sources. Mm, yep. Once again, like twisting other things or using, pretty much controlling the type of information that you slash your people are intaking. Um, Six, unethical use of confession. Let's go this up so y'all can actually see it. So yeah, information about sins used to disrupt and or dissolve identity boundaries, withholding forgiveness or absolution, manipulation of memory, possible fake memories. Mmm. Now that one is interesting. I cannot lie. Okay. So, we are now on. Hurry up and scroll down. Goodness. Alright. We are now on thought control. Now. Yep, this one is a one, but hey, we're halfway there now. Okay, so this one's, they're pretty much all broken down like that further out. So, number one is require members to internalize the group's doctrine as truth. So, this one is, I would feel like, really tied into information, but thought control takes it further because obviously information does play a part into the type of thoughts that you're having. It plays a big part, but thought is taking that action and taking it further. So, yeah. Instill black and white thinking. This one is very much useful because it makes people always feel like they have an enemy, even when they may not have one. Um, because the world is not black and white. Everything isn't either good or bad, or, oh yeah, decide between good versus evil. So, like, literally. And another one, organize people into us versus them, insiders versus outsiders. So, They'll be like worldly things, and they'll treat worldly like it is evil, or covered in sin, stuff like that, when the fact of the matter is nothing's completely good, everything's flawed, but nothing's completely evil either. And to try to write somebody or some group of people off as if that is what they are, I feel like is dismissive of the people. You know what I'm saying? It takes the humanity away from the person. So yeah, another one of thought control: change a person's name and identity. So change who they think that they are. Use of loaded language and cliches which constrict knowledge, stop critical thoughts, and reduce complexities into, y'all gotta read that one, platitudinous. Plat, platitudinous. Oh my goodness. Into very complicated buzzwords. So yeah, I feel like, okay, using the context, obviously, these are like repetitive buzzwords that you just say. You know what I'm saying? They're just automatic responses. So let's say here. No, I'm not going to use an example because I don't even know if this video going to save again. Oh, I had a good example last time. I can't even lie to you. I'm not even going to try to think about it. We just got to get through this because I want to like keep on having like good examples up here. But I just feel like these are things that I look back at the channel and I'm like, yeah, that's good information to have. That's good information to reinforce within myself. This is just one of those things that I'm doing. So, boom, that complicated word, buzzwords, you feel me? Scroll up a little bit. All right. We're almost done. Bro, I thought I was done, but I feel like this video is important. I feel like just the information got to get out there. I would have easily scrapped this if it was a reaction video. Okay. Hypnotic techniques. Well, encourage only good and proper thoughts. So block all negative thoughts. And I will say, I used to do this, but I feel like the negative thoughts are important and they need to be addressed because any thoughts, you know what I'm saying? You have like a certain regulation and control over them, sure, but that thought is telling you something at the end of the day. Like, you know, I'm not okay with this. Maybe I need to do something to change this. But if you don't even address that thought, you just keep on living within the lie and telling yourself, no, that thought's the enemy, you know? Other than addressing like, hey, maybe we can address this thought, see it for what it is, and then actually move on other than constantly suppress the thought when you feel it coming back up to the surface because that's all suppression will do. It's pushing it down until it eventually comes back up. But expression, it's finally out, it's been worked through, and you can move on to more. But yeah, hypnotic techniques are used to alter mental states, undermine critical thinking, and even to age regress the member. So this is like one of those ones where I'm like, oh yeah, this is where it's like these are grown people following a cult leader that's younger than them. And he has them wrapped around his finger. Those are like the examples of that where I'm like, oh, I see, I see. 7. Teaching thought stopping techniques which shut down reality testing by shut down reality testing by stopping negative thoughts and allowing only positive thoughts, including denial, rationalization, justification, wishful thinking, chanting, meditating, praying, speaking in tongues, singing or humming, Rejection of rational analysis. Well, this is the next one, number six. Rejection of rational analysis, critical thinking, constructive criticism. Mm. Forbid critical questions about leader, doctrine, or policy allowed. So don't question the leader. Labeling alternative belief systems as illegitimate, evil, or not useful. So really that goes back into an us versus them mentality. Black and white. There's only good, which is us, everyone else is bad. It's like it's not entirely true, but that's what they want to instill to keep you under control. So the last one is emotional control. You feel me? Now this is one of them. This is the last one. And yeah. Manipulate and narrow the range of feelings some emotions and or needs are deemed as evil, wrong, or selfish. Mm. 2. Teach emotion stopping techniques to block feelings of homesickness, anger, doubt. 3. Make the person feel that problems are always their own fault, never the leader or the group's fault. 4. Promote feelings of guilt or unworthiness, such as identity guilt. You are not living up to your potential. Man, that's the one right there. Your family is deficient. This is like to separate family right here. Your past is suspect. So your past doesn't matter. You'll be reborn again. You know what I'm saying? You are a new person. You're not even the person you used to be. Your affiliations are unwise. Your thoughts, feelings, actions are irrelevant or selfish. That selfish word, man, I'm telling you. Social guilt, historical guilt. Yeah, it's guilt and fear that are a huge one. We're gonna do the fear one and then we're gonna talk about both. But yeah, instill fear, such as fear of thinking independently, the outside world, enemies, losing one's salvation, leaving or being shunned by the group, others' disapproval. Now, these two are a big one. This is a big one that made me stay. And this was just a big one that was like affecting me. Because, like, the guilt of just being you, you know what I'm saying? Be like, oh no, I'm sure I sinned today. I'm sure, like, I did this. I'm sure I'm not good enough. Oh, I'm not even being a good enough Christian. No wonder I'm barely getting any of the things that I want in my life. No wonder all of this is happening. It has to be my fault. It can't be anyone else's fault. And that type of thinking is bad because it's not your fault. You know what I'm saying? You can rest and not feel bad. You can continue to grow every day and know that even though you're not the person you want to be right now, you can be the person you want to be still in the future. And it's great that you have the time and opportunity to continue to work to be that person. It's a beautiful thing. It's all about perspective, though. And perspective is such a powerful thing that people can tell you that, and you can look at your look at such a positive thing from the wrong perspective and it will work. You know what I'm saying? And fear, man, once again, you don't have enemies. But if you're convinced that you do, that's just another thing to be scared of, another thing to be outside for. Once again, the outside world, worldly things, making of course the world can be scary, but there is many beautiful things within the world. But if you're only associating the beautiful things within the world with God and all the other bad things within the world with the devil, that's just another black and white identity type of thing. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's either this or that. Thinking independently, that's definitely a cult mentality thing for sure. And it's very funny because even as a Christian, I was like, yeah, we're definitely like obviously we all believe the same book and everything, but people are promoted to think for themselves, and it's like no, no. There was a Tyler the Creator bar that rubbed me the wrong way, where he's like, "How you think you a free thinker, but you preach in the Bible?" And I'm like, "I am a free thinker. I think so." And it's like that's not really what the Bible promotes. It's kind of the point of that. And yeah, um, damn, that junk hit. But we almost done here. Um, and yes, once again, freedomofmind.com. They got a whole PDF. Not that PDF, because we've been watching some Gideon videos on the other channel. Not that PDF. Um, okay, last few. So, number 6, extremes of emotional heights and lows. Love bombing and praise one moment, then declaring you are a horrible sinner the next. Mm, that's one, for sure. That's definitely one. Emotional highs and lows be one of them ones. Like once again, if there's no problem, they got to create the problem. So you got to feel guilty. That's the problem. Then they got the cure. Aren't we glad that the Lord has? Let me stop. But yep. 7, ritualistic and sometimes public confession of sins. And this one made me laugh a little bit, just because one of the examples. But 8, phobia indoctrination. Hmm. Inculcating irrational fears about leaving the group or questioning the leader's authority. So, hey, no happiness or fulfillment possible outside of the group, which that's one for sure with the church that I had. It's like there's no way I could be happy. There's no way I could even be close to any type of fulfillment. But now, man, I'm telling you, it actually is a certain type of freedom mentally. Um, B. Terrible consequences if you leave. Hell, demon possession. Incurable diseases, accidents, suicide, insanity, 10,000 reincarnations. This one made me laugh because in the last recording I was like, yo, if I had to leave a call and they're like, yo, you gonna have to live through life 10,000 times, I'm good. Yeah, let me just get this over with. We'll finish this. You said I got 40 years left? Cool. And that's kind of the thing with hell, too, where it's just like, I'm a burn forever. Like, forever, forever. Like, some people are like, no, you'll just get annihilated after some time. But lots of people, and that's kind of the thing with why it works. Like, that's a reasonable fear. Like, obviously, nobody want to be burned for all eternity, so they're going to be like, oh, obviously it's the smarter thing to just go with this, and if I burn I burn, but not if I burn I burn. If I die and nothing happens, obviously I'm not conscious to realize it, but if I'm denying this and I'm wrong, it turns out to be a burn. And that's one of the things that like I definitely stuck with too. But once you like open the Pandora's box of information, those certain things just aren't going to bother you or scare you anymore because you're very, very confident. And the reason I don't just outright deny the existence of God or say, like, hey, God's not real and all of that is because, like, I know it will rub people the wrong way because it rubbed me the wrong way when I was, you know what I'm saying, when I was a Christian and everything. But even still, you know, I feel like it's if it has good points for people, you know what I'm saying? I feel like that's good. But once again, we can acknowledge the good, but if we are looking away at the bad, we're not giving ourselves any accountability here. So let's finish this and then I'll finish out this. And yeah, so see, shunning those who leave or fear of being rejected by friends or family. This is definitely one I had too. My whole family, my whole people's Christian friends, Christian. I'm thinking, are they gonna step back? Are they gonna look at me weird or different like that? You know? And once again, we're people. That's just one part of your identity. And another thing, there'll be like never a legitimate reason to leave. Those who leave are weak, undisciplined, unspiritual, worldly, brainwashed by family counsel, or seduced by money, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. You know, um, that's funny too, because now people will be like, hip hop is obviously the thing. And it's funny too, because there are a lot of Christian hip hop artists. And back in like the 80s and 90s before I was alive, I'm sure they used rock and roll and rock in general as that. This is the demon genre and stuff like that. It's always going to be like that with generations. Well, not always, because I really feel like after me, like I hope I put on a good type of like, you know what I'm saying? A good type of influence, but I feel like after I'm gone, maybe like 20 years, maybe 30, maybe 50, I feel like Christianity will pretty much be like out of here. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I don't know though. We'll see, but yeah, I just feel a shift happening, you know, and I feel like it's good because there's just been so many problems that have come about from this, you know, and not to say, once again, there are good things, but if people just continue to only claim the good and ignore the bad, it is going to boil over and it's just going to be in people's face. You know what I'm saying? And then they're going to be like, huh, why didn't you tell me about this, and this? Huh, church? And of course, they have lots of apologetics on deck. That is the reason this religion and these other religions have been around for so long, is because obviously people have asked questions, they've had excuses that are good enough. But eventually, there is just going to be more and more facts and more facts and more information that comes out that is going to go against what these people use to control us. And I am interested to see which course of action this takes, but I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not scared, I'm not fearful. Shout out, you know what I'm saying? Shout out Mr. Hanson. This was a good model, and I feel like it's good that people know this, you know? I don't know what the next video will be, but maybe I'll just start doing like little presentations. Let me know if y'all rock with it. But yeah, catch y'all on the next one. Peace.